Not going in together. Not going in together. Okay, I'm going in together.
Okay, Shakor, Phyllis, yes, Shakor. This is, none of us can kvetch about a thing right now. It's so warm and nice and sweet in here. Yeshakor, Gadol. Yeshakor for the whole trip, but specifically for this. This is very, very special. Yeshakor. Yeshakor to all of you. We're right now in the spot. It's a breathtaking spot, as you can see outside, right behind us. This is like really going back in time, but you're also going forward in time. There's a concept here where time becomes irrelevant. It's very, very, very special. In the room, we're in the Kohen booth over here. This is where I chill. I've never in my life passed. I've been here so many times and I've never passed right here. And it's so hard for me not to run in there and just go on onto the kever of the tzaddik and just say, Reb Nosson, one word, Toda. Toda. Thank you, Rabbi Natan of Breslov, for your Mesirut Nefesh, for believing so much in your Rebbe's Torah, that your Rebbe's Torah is the Torah of Mashiach. Because we're living in an age, and it's only in the last 20, 30 years, but it's progressing more and more every day, that the teachings of Rabbi Nachman of Breslov are healing worlds. And the more that something has more light, the more that klipot always surround it. It's like this with anything big in the world. Many of you have heard of Breslov. You might be thinking about guys jumping on vans in Kikar Tzion, or like we noticed last time, scribbling out those, writing, adding stuff, and graffiti, and all this stuff that's shtuyot. So we're not here, this trip to here, no one here is trying to become a Breslover. That's not the point of what we're trying to do. We're trying to open our hearts to the teachings of tzaddikim that help us connect to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. End. Exclamation point. That is what we're trying to do. To get close to Hashem. And the teachings of Rabbi Nachman, as many of you know that have tasted it firsthand, there's some kind of a dynamite, explosive, holy energy in it that takes us right there. Because Rabbi Nachman thought about you and I when he was writing what he was writing. Obviously, some of the main themes are the concept of En Yeush Ba'olam Klal. There's no such thing as despair in the world. Semcha, running away from Atzilus. But I wanted to talk about something very important, which is actually your homework. We didn't tell this to you before you signed up, but it's definitely something that we're trying to get everyone to do. One of the instructions Rabbi Nachman gave Reb Nosson was to make tefillahs out of his Torahs. Where's Malchur? You just spoke about it. To make tefillah out of your Torah. There's a pasuk we say every morning in LA, I guess every time we daven. You fill in the blank. Vayadata hayom v'hashevota el. What does that mean? That pasuk describes the motion of Breslov thought, really of Chassidus in general, but there's a big emphasis there in Breslov. Vayadata hayom. That which you know today, the point is not to keep things over here in the realm of intellect, that I have to go there. That's what Hashem gave me to work with in this world. But the point is, v'hashevota el levavecha. Put into your heart that which your mind knows. How do we do it best? When it's our heart that finds its way to express that which it learned, that which is understood. How do you make a tefillah out of a Torah? Very simple and very, very, very difficult at the same time, because it's very vulnerable. It's very vulnerable. With the chevra, with the guys that we learn with, we've put together booklets already, based on svarim that we've learned and gone through, or topics that we've learned and gone through. I tell the guys whenever we finish a subject or finish a sefer, they have to write a tefillah based on what they learned. If they want to have a pass, they want to say they passed the class. They want to get a grade, bichlal. Because we're living in an era that we have all the information on books. Do we need more info? Is there a need for more books? Can we even get through a 50th of our current library, which each of us most probably has at home? So there isn't need for more and more information. There's need for access. That's what there is a need for accessing, for having access to that which is available to us. Reb Nosson understood from Reb Nachman that Reb Nachman can give over the highest teachings in the world, very deep, soulful Torahs, but unless you cry over it, you stand very little chance of them playing any role in your life. Reb Nosson smells this already at a young age. Well, a young age meaning when he first met Rabbi Nachman, I believe it was 1801. I don't remember exactly. I think 1801 or 1802. And Rabbi Nosson knew that when he heard words, such fiery words, from such a young individual, because how old was Rabbi Nachman when he met him? 31, 32? Can you imagine if a 31-year-old person would show up in your, in your Daled Amot, and whatever they would say, our initial gut reaction would be, get older, like, please, you're only 31. Can you imagine if that was Reb Nosson's, approach to Rabbi Nachman? Like, Sheftin Matzat, Chizet sit down. The burning, fiery coals of the great-grandson of the Baal Shem Tov, Rabbi Nachman, struck Reb Nosson's heart like an arrow. Reb Nosson, who's buried right here, did not start off as a chassid of Rabbi Nachman. Actually, Reb Nosson started off as a chassid of Reb Levi Yitzchak of Berditchev. He was a chassid of the Kedushas Levi. The Kedushas Levi and Rabbi Nachman were very, very close. They were very good friends. They had a beautiful relationship. The Kedushas Levi had that thing with a lot of other people. The Kedushas Levi was also very close to the Alter Rebbe, the Shnei Zalman of Liadi. Bichlal, the Kedushas Levi, can you imagine him not getting along with somebody, right? Reb Nosson starts off as a chassid of the Kedushas Levi. There's a famous story that one night there was a Motzei Shabbos and they needed bagels for Malava Malka. And Reb Nosson was sent out to go and get the bagels for the Malava Malka in Berditchev. And as he was going there to get the bagels at this Malava Malka, he sensed that maybe, talking about sensing your shlichus, he said, it's a very high and holy thing to be in the presence of the Kedushas Levi, but I don't know, something tells me that my tafkid, my shlichus, there's something else. More than just getting bagels at Lav Malka. And I learned a lot of things from that story, is that sometimes we have to make life changes. And it's easier when it's a change from darkness to light. That's pretty easy. Evil that's disguised as light is the most difficult evil, right? We're not talking about evil over here. But what we're talking about, when you have to make a change from Kodesh to Kodesh, that is when it gets really interesting. Like moving different places in Eretz Yisrael. It's all Kodesh, right? Kol ha'aretz shelanu. But knowing exactly where to be within the Kodesh, that takes a lot of what we spoke about before, Ometz halev, courageousness of the heart, and access to your heart. What they say in more in Polish, the liturgy, binat halev, the wisdom of the heart. So Reb Nosson ends up meeting Reb Nachman. It's a very long and beautiful, passionate story, but because we don't have that much time, and I always say that when we're up here, because we never have that much time here unless we just come and say this is the trip. But Reb Nosson finds Matza et She'ava Nafsho. He couldn't put his finger on it. You know how when you really feel that something's talking to you, but you can't really explain what it is that's talking to you, and it's hard for you to make sense of it or explain it to others because you yourself don't really understand, but you know your heart found its zivug. So Reb Nosson's walking around here on a Friday night after meeting Reb Nachman, coming here for Shabbos. Who knows if we're one of these houses? I don't know. And he's walking around, and Shoshana reminded me of a niggun I want to sing for you, because he's walking around. These are words Reb Nosson said. All he did was what we need to do. Sometimes we wake up, something touches us, and because we can't put our finger on it or can't articulate it, we end up letting go of it. We end up letting go of it. Because if I can't explain it to myself, then maybe there's something wrong with it. So Reb Nosson knows there's a fire going on here. I don't know really exactly what it is, but Ribono Shleim, I want it to burn in my heart. I want it to burn in my heart. So the words that Reb Nosson was saying, if I could just defrost my fingers for a second, I realized nothing will sound like this right now. The words that Reb Nosson was saying was, Breslov bo'er esh, hav'er ota belibi. In Breslov burns a fire, burn that fire in my heart. And he just walked around Friday night crying it to Hashem, right here in these streets. There's a beautiful tune written by a Breslover chassid named Yisrael Dayan, and I feel like I don't know what Reb Nosson sounded like when he said these words, but I think with this niggun we'll have a chance to connect to him. Breslov bo'er esh, hav'er ota belibi. 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 Oh, hav'er ota belibi. Oh, hav'er ota belibi. Breslov bo'er esh, 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 hav'er ota belibi. אותה בליבי. העבר אותה בליבי. So I want to go back to your homework assignment. One of the ways to take the fire of Breslov, the fire of Reb Nosson, and to burn it inside of you is us becoming little Reb Nossons. How so? Writing our own tefillas. Each of us to write a likutei tefillas. What does that mean? Your assignment, and it's not for your sake, although you'll benefit from it greatly. Even if what you have to share is not something so tremendously innovative, or you don't think there's such a great Yiddish in what you're going to write, but to write a tefillah based on your experience on the trip. Not a memoir, but a tefillah. I can't begin to tell you how many people, their lives were changed based on Reb Nosson's tefillahs, based on Likutei Moharan. So you never know who's going to open up your tefillah one day and say, oh yeah, whoever this person was, they were able to express exactly what my heart is feeling. Just like Reb Nachman says, Sefer Tehillim is basically a collection of David HaMelech's Hitbodeduts, sessions, that he put into tefillahs. So with the men, Baruch Hashem, there's a lot of tefillahs they wrote. With the women's trip a few weeks ago, we're still waiting for a lot of them, because it's a very hard thing. It's not simple. The easy thing about it is that, like, there's no wrong tefillah. What's a wrong tefillah? Unless you're asking for Hashem to destroy the world. You're just crazy. You know, that's not a... What's a wrong tefillah? What's a not cool tefillah, not holy tefillah? And when you do that, when you're able to go there, you're able to mekayem the pasuk v'yadata hayom v'hashivota el Elohecha. You had a dot of an experience. You know what you remember what you experienced, but to take it into a tefillah means you pray over it. And that's really the fire of Breslov. You know, I have to share with you a really, really strong Torah. It says that man was given Gan Eden to do what with it? 2 words. Le'ovda ve'leshomra. Midrash says, what does it mean, le'ovda? What do we know? What's avoda? Tefillah is avoda shebalev, right? Leshomra, to guard it. To guard what? To guard your avodah. To guard your tefillah. Le'ovda u'leshomra. Man was given, you and I were given in our lives moments of Gan Eden. The question is, what do you do with it? Do you keep them as memories, as Facebook memories? Do you keep them as posts in journals? Or do you make it into a tefillah and guard that moment that it never ever leaves you? That it never ever leaves you. Le'ovda u'leshomra. To daven over it and to guard it. And that's what Reb Nosson understood was Rabbi Nachman's instructions about life. About the moments you really learn and you understand amazing things about yourself or about the world. The question is, how deep was your understanding? The question is, what do you do with it afterwards? Just like with this trip, what do you do with it afterwards? So over here by Reb Nosson, the master of tefillah, the one who wrote so much, and you can, when you get inside the kever, you'll open up, there's likutei tefillot, just about anywhere. And there's a few lines that guaranteed were written 200 years ago, just for you and me. Okay, so let's sing it one more time. Breslov בוער אש, העבר אותה בליבי. בברסלב בוער אש, העבר אותה בליבי. בברסלב בוער אש, העבר אותה בליבי. בברסלב בוירש, haver אותה בליבי. haver אותה בליבי. haver אותה בליבי. Okay, so let's learn for a few minutes before we go inside. Please open up in your booklets to page 38. We're just going to learn for 2 minutes in here, really, because I know it's very cold and everyone wants to daven and get to Uman. Reb Nosson would also tell us, let's get to Uman anyway. Okay. Yaakov Avinu's instructions in our Parsha, preparing himself to meet Esav. When the Torah tells us exactly what they decided to do, it wasn't just like Torah letting us in on details of the story. In the way that Yaakov Avinu prepared himself to fight Esav, which for us means the way that a Yid fights the Sitra Achra. Okay? Keep that in mind. That's what's going on in our Parsha. The way that a Jew fights the dark sides of the world, the evil forces. You learn from Yaakov Avinu how to engage war. In fact, it's brought down in the Sfarim that when Yidden would engage in battle throughout the years, they learned Parshat Vayishlach. They would learn this Parsha. It helps us understand Yaakov set the way for us to fight the dark side. And like we said this morning about the Baal Shem Tov, the dark side for us is when we look at our lives and see the tzaras and can't find a place to breathe because we're up to here in it. We're choked by what seems to be just sarot, trouble. So the way that Yaakov Avinu tells us everything that he told us to do is basically aid and guidelines for you and I today how to deal with. Does anyone here suffer from that? What's that S word? Let's see if we can get to it first. Stress. With all the apps in the world, it's like things are just more stressful. Everything is stress. Even I have an app called Calm, and it's like it stresses me that I don't use the app. You know that? And I get so stressed, like I have it, I didn't know.
I have to meditate.
Unbelievable, right?
I set their alarm for 4 o'clock, my phone dings, and I go, oh no, I can't do it now.
It's unbelievable. So look inside, page 38. One of the things that Yaakov Avinu says regarding setting up his flock, because remember he was a shepherd, he had a lot of flock, a lot of cattle. It says about him, it says Verevach tasimu ben eder leeder, which means you shall put space in between each eder, each flock. Okay? So Reb Nosson says like this is from his Sefer Likutei Halachot. Reb Nosson has a masterpiece called Likutei Halachot. There's some volumes here. Where Reb Nosson goes through all the Shulchan Aruch. And he gives his, it's not his really, it's really Reb Nachman, but because it's all based on Rabbi Nachman, he gives this incredible perush and understanding of the halachot based on all the Torah of Rabbi Nachman. It's 8 volumes, it's a masterpiece. Just to give you a sense of Reb Nosson, if he wasn't a chassid Rabbi Nachman, he would have been one of the greatest Hasidic rabbis that ever existed, but he was so completely mevutal. You say that? Mevutal.
Given over.
Nullified, given over.
Yeah.
Dedicated and committed and in love with his Rebbe's Torah. He didn't hold himself of nothing. So Reb Nosson says like this. כשרואים שקשה להשיג העצה השלמה. When a person needs a good עצה in life, he sees it's hard for him to receive an עצה שלמה. עצה שלמה means complete and total clarity. Who doesn't want that? צריכים להתנהג לפי חלוקת העצה על כל פנים. So a person has to accept the fact that sometimes the Reb Nosson gives you pieces of clarity. Now that's an oxymoron. What do you mean, piece of clarity? I'm either clear or I'm not, right? That's the Sitra Achma talking. That's Esav. Because Esav says to you, unless you have complete clarity about your life, don't pretend that you actually know what you're doing, and don't pretend you understand your life choices. It's not true. Doesn't that sound like Esav? Doesn't that sound like a Sitra Achma? Doesn't that sound like a voice that somehow visits us way too frequently? Reb Nosson says, צריכים להתנהג לפי חלוקת העצה על כל פנים. Second line, באופן שיהיה נשאר לו מחנה הנשאר לפליטה, ולא יהיה נאבד לגמרי חס ושלום. What does Yaakov Avinu do when he comes to meet Esav? It says he split his machane into two sides, right? והיה המחנה האחד ויקהו, והיה המחנה הנשאר לפליטה. It's a whole story, who he chose to be on each team there, but it's like he divided the camp, his master, camp with the 4 wives and all the kids and everything else they had, shoro v'chamoro v'chol asher lo. It's 2 sides. So why? Because if Esav would come and he wouldn't be able to knock off everybody. That's according to the pshat. But Reb Nosson is taking over here into deeper. He's saying, listen, don't limit yourself with receiving Eitzah from Hashem regarding parts of your life. I know that you think that you're fake unless you have everything figured out. But Reb Nosson's giving an Eitzah here saying, sometimes we have to divide our tzaras and say, I know that right now I don't have everything figured out, but I have to take pride and be empowered by certain moments of clarity. Because if I just say, unless the whole thing's clear, nothing's clear, then nothing is ever clear. Because when is everything clear? When is everything clear? By the way, you set me up for this whole thing. As if I knew that when we would talk about this before we got to Breslov or Bichlal. Hashem is funny. Third line. Reb Nosson says, by the way, you know that when we learn Torahs of Tzaddikim, it says, Fatehem medovevot bakever. It's like their lips are moving in the kever. You know what it is to say Torahs of a tzaddik next to where their kever is? That we're learning Reb Nosson right next to Rabbi Nosson? It's a very big thing. היינו כשרואה האדם שהיצר הרע מתגבר אליו כמו שמתגבר, ונדמה לו שאין בכוחו לעמוד כנגדו כראוי, when you realize, whoa, like Reb Shlomo would call it, brother other side, right? He has his paws are mamish in me. I can't, אין לי סיכוי to להצליח today. Reb Nosson says, a person then comes to, he sees וכל מה שחושב עצות ותחבולות אינו עולה בידו כראוי, and everything, all the tactics I used to have in order to figure out how to beat the Yetzer Hara, nothing's working today. The mind distraction meditations that I usually have, they're not working. All those other tricks that I usually use in order to conquer the darkness, it's just not working today. So Reb Nosson says, יתנהג כפי חלוקת עצה, שזה בחינת ויחץ את העם. Just like Yaakov Avinu split his camp into 2, and this is a very deep avoda. It's called the avoda of letting go, of control also. He's saying over here, learn from Yaakov Avinu how to approach the Sitra Achra. Take each tzara on its own. Don't try to figure it all out. Divide it. Split it up. Approach each one individually. And maybe don't even approach them individually, meaning maybe just say today, just for today, that one issue I have, even if it's not the most burning issue, this is one of them that I'm going to conquer. Just today. We learn this from the way that Yaakov approached dealing with Esav. Because even if the Yetzer Hara does beat you in everything else, and all those other things you wanted to work on, he got to you, you at least know you have one machana that's still taller. At least you have one camp within yourself that was untouched by Esav. But what is he describing? A situation that Esav conquers everything. That the all of you, is under Esav's jurisdiction. We're trying to keep a little bit of light untouched by the other side. How do you do this? How do you approach, how do you separate your tzarot? How do you do this in a healthy way? Hainu sheikva belibo she'ech she'yeh, that you're determined in your heart that no matter what happens, af al pichen ani chazak, shelo ehyeh nasog achor legamre me'Hashem yitbarach. No matter what happens, I'm still strong. I'm strong because I'm choosing one battle, not all of them. Velo eyaesh et atzmi le'olam. Eyaesh is an interesting word. Does anyone know what that means?
From the Osh.
So what does that mean? Eyaesh.
I will not despair.
I will not cause myself to despair.
Taking responsibility for it.
That's what it is. How do you take responsibility for it? When you decide how you're dealing with your tzarot, and not when your tzarot dictate to you how you're going to deal with it.
Not letting it in.
Keeping it, exactly. I see you. You're there though. You're not here. Listen, this is like the theme throughout all of Breslov teachings. Lo lityaesh. But here the lashon is very interesting because it is a lashon of responsibility. Eyaesh means that I cause myself to despair. Not that life circumstances cause me to despair, but my failed tactics cause me to despair over myself. 4 lines from the bottom of this paragraph, and these are the words I wanted to get to today, and it should be a bracha and a zgula for all of us, and something to daven over when you walk into Reb Nosson's kever right now. Ve'et yagea bechol kochi. That means I will use every ounce of my koach lachtof. What does lachtof mean? To grab. That's lachtof.
Oh.
Lachtof. To grab. We call it, it's interesting, in Hebrew, snacks are called grabbings, right? Chatifim. You just grab it. Reb Nosson, it's a very interesting lashon. He uses it throughout his letters that he writes to his children, which we learn in our house every Shabbos, Baruch Hashem, Kimat every Shabbos. Letters that he wrote to his son Reb Yitzchak, who was buried up in Tzfat, in Eretz Yisrael, where he uses the language of lachtof. Now, why is this very interesting language, dafka, for here? Because Reb Nosson says when you have an opportunity to grab a little bit of chizuk, just grab it. Don't say, I'm going to wait till I have a fully clear picture. Just grab it. Grab a moment of chizuk. I always say this. Reb Shlomo once said this at a concert. There was someone came up to me after a show and said, we spoke about simcha and all the time, but the truth is I just don't have any reasons other than this concert right now to be with simcha. I can't. Look at my life. So he said to her, I think it was this older woman who never lost her husband. And he said, listen, I think you don't understand what kind of simcha I was talking about. It's not simcha that's gonna, for sure last forever or based on a certain reason. You don't need to have a reason in order to be with simcha, even though you think you're gonna lose it later. Just like we deal with food. Were you ever hungry and someone offered you a sandwich and you said, what good is this going to do for me? I'm going to be hungry again later. You grab what you can to take care of the hunger at that moment. No. With simcha, we all became greatest psychologists that understand exactly how much we... Reb Nosson is saying, tachtof. Grab. You have a moment. Revach tasim will put space between your tzaras. How? By grabbing a moment of simcha. By grabbing a moment of chizuk, lachtof. Et yageh says the language here, et yageh bechol kochi. I will use every ounce of my koch, not to fix all my problems, but to believe that it's okay to not solve everything right away. He's saying you need a lot of koch for that. You need a lot of strength, inner strength, to have inner shalva, inner serenity, to accept the fact that sometimes maybe you won't lachtof. Maybe you won't lachtof et hakol, but you could lachtof a rega in your life. Ve'im chas v'shalom lo ochal litpalel klal, and if God forbid I can't daven at all, er'eh ledaber achar kach ez dibur shel tchina u'bakasha. And let's look at davening. When Esav comes and says, who are you to even daven? Look at your life. Look at all the problems you have. So Reb Nosson says, don't freak out and say, no, I must daven right now. He says, maybe later I'll be able to say a few words. Maybe later I'll be able to talk a little bit to Hashem. It's true. Right now I can't. But Esav, you don't really have me. I have a machaneh that I set aside. It's called the non-self-persecution machaneh. The non-self-judging machaneh. I'll daven for a little bit later. Ve'im yimna'eni chas v'shalom gam mizeh. And even if Esav comes and sees that later at 4 o'clock when no one was looking, and I tried to have his bodedus to daven mincha, Esav comes and attacks me there, I'm not able to do it there. Then you know what? Etzak al kol panim, ribono shel olam hoshia. One word. One word. This is the war we fight with today's Esav. Because we all want complete pictures. We want to figure the whole thing out. We want complete clarity. We want to have pratim don't really impress us. Details, like getting small things done, don't really impress us. But Reb Nosson says in Avodas Hashem, it's very, very important. You're going to have so many moments of being so stressed because of the accumulation of all the different things that are bothering you, that you won't be able to have the koyach to grab even one moment of dealing with one issue. Because in your mind and heart, you say to yourself, if I don't conquer everything, I got nothing. Only Esav wins in a war like that. Yaakov Avinu understood this. This is why Yaakov Avinu divides up his camps. Just like we have to divide up our camps. Divide up our own things that we have to deal with, to give us breath, to give us air, to be able to breathe in between all the trials and tribulations, which seem to be just growing on us day by day. But it's a chokhmah to let go of the control and take responsibility over moments, as opposed to trying to fix full and complete pictures. And even at the end, Reb Nosson says, when all you're left with is the ability to scream Hoshia in between all your tzaras, in that moment, Esav lost. Be aware of that. In that moment. And you know, by Esav, unless he conquers everything, he didn't conquer anything. And that drives Esav, the Sitrach, like crazy, more than, because just like by us, we think if we didn't conquer everything, so too by him, if he didn't conquer everything, and he sees a Jew still feels that they have the koyach to say, Hoshia, Esav lost. You won at that moment. And then you continue to rebuild yourself slowly, slowly. And that's what Reb Nosson, that's what Rabbi Nachman wanted to give us the koyach. That no matter what is going on, no matter what state we find ourselves in, even if it's completely contrary to everything we thought of ourselves a second ago, this second is an opportunity, like Reb Nachman calls it, lehit chadesh. And this is a very tricky one because we're so into like self-introspection and being real. That's the thing today, being authentic and being real. And this sounds like such a non-real thing because if I was so depressed a second ago, how can I really be happy a second later? That's Esav talking. That's a world that's dictated by what was yesterday. But we believe in the hitchachut of HaKadosh Baruch Hu's bria at any given moment. And if you believe in the hitchachut of God's creation of the world, Hashem recreates me every single second as well. But it takes a lot of guts to believe that which might look meshuga to the world is actually something that's chai v'kayim in me. So the schus of the tzaddik Reb Nosson, who renewed himself, he had to renew himself over and over and over again. And I'm sure he's writing these words because this was him. I'm sure there were moments that this Rebbe that wore a bekasha and a shtreimel with the payas and beard down to the floor, moments he couldn't daven either. Because people were trying to burn his printing press, family didn't talk to him, he had no money, or whatever it was, and all the things together. He's giving us koyach, you and I today, to put things into proportion and take responsibility, and we should be zeicher to put revach, to put a space between eder le'eder in our personal lives as well. So, I think by now they opened it. I think Shimon's inside there. It's right over here. It's very tzafuf in there, I'm told. But I think there'll be enough for everyone to go inside to try to grab a likutei tefillot when you're in there. Or even better, just to speak your own words also is very recommended. And we'll continue afterwards to his Rebbe.